Hey, good morning, y'all. This is Reverend Will, the senior minister at First Christian in Fulton, Missouri, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our weekly midweek devotion every Wednesday. Well, every Wednesday I'm around. We stop at 11 o'clock for a brief devotion for you. It's a time to maybe stop work, stop scrolling on Facebook, stop what you're doing, and just focus on something a little bit more spiritual, a little bit deeper. This one is based around, well, me and my best friend's relationship. So it's grounded in a word from Second Corinthians. Comes to us from chapter 5, verse 19, where Paul wrote, "In other words, God was reconciling the world to himself through Christ, by not counting people's sins against them. He has trusted us with this message of reconciliation." Now, my best friend Andrew and I met in fifth grade. My family moved over the summer, and I started at a new school in that final year of elementary school. I had to try and make new friends. And Andrew and I didn't start out as friends. We were too alike. We liked the same sports, emphasis on baseball. We liked and played the same instrument, trumpet. We both made the honor choir. I think it was called Castle Singers. We were pretty smart and we both knew it. We were even born in the same month of May. And initially, these similarities bred contempt. Instead of bringing us together, they split us apart and we became rivals. Well, as much as, 10-year-old boys can be rivals. But as happens from time to time, we got over our rivalry and let our commonalities prevail. I can't remember a particular reason. We just sort of realized it was silly, just happened naturally. So we became friends, best friends. I got up early and he slept in, and this is just sort of how we came to be. So I would often walk to the grocery store, buy a couple of donuts and some chocolate milk, hoof it to his house, go in after his parents let me, and wake him up with my offering. We still joke about it to this day. But at some point, the relationship ruptured. We stayed best friends through middle school and high school and college, even though we went to different institutions. And even after that, we helped each other through breakups. We were each other's best men at our weddings. But something broke. I can't say if he felt the same way, but I certainly did. And I honestly can't remember what it was. There was never a fight. There was never a flashpoint. There was never anything definitive. I just remember at one point realizing something wasn't right. The close bond that had held together for over two decades was frayed at best. I lamented, but I didn't do anything about it. A fit of pride seeped its way in, and an attitude of, well, I'll just wait for him to make the first move became my go to. I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I reach out and try and repair what was broken? Why was it my responsibility? My self righteousness got in the way. Then came the announcement. He and his wife were expecting. I was really, truly overjoyed for them. But even that phone call didn't change much. If anything, it sort of separated us even further. He was getting ready to be a dad, and I had nothing like that on the horizon. But then I got another phone call. During a routine check in with their doctor, Andrew and his wife received the news their expected daughter was diagnosed with a terminal birth defect. She wouldn't survive outside the womb. All the hopes and expectations they had for her were gone, and they were left only with pain and heartbreak. Whatever feud I was holding on to, it was gone. Andrew needed his friend. and I needed to be with him. How could I hold on to pride and self righteousness when my best friend is hurting worse than I could possibly imagine? And the time came for Everly to have a funeral. That's the name they gave their daughter, Everly. There was no question I would be there in that church sitting by his side. As we heard about God's unfailing goodness, about how God brought life from death on the cross, I wept, and I held him as he did the same. Reconciliation took place between us as the slights and frustrations and grievances fell away. Our shared sins weren't counted anymore. Just as God reconciled the world through Christ's death and resurrection, repairing the chasm caused by sin and death, the crucible of tragedy repaired what was broken. In both cases, it shouldn't have taken it. But in both cases, it did. These years later, he is my daughter's Uncle Andrew, and I'm his kid's Uncle Will. And I don't know about him, but nothing is going to separate us again. Thanks for joining me for this week's midweek devotion. I hope you heard a word of grace, a word of comfort. If you liked what you heard, like and share it with someone you think needs to hear this word. And you're more than welcome to join us for worship on Sunday morning. We worship at 10:30. You can join us in person or online. If not, my benediction is the same as always. God be with you till we meet again.